Hi friends, welcome to my channel. So today I will talk about this book. I thought I'll make this video on 15th August, but I was busy. So I will talk about this book, Freedom at Midnight. Okay, Freedom at Midnight by Larry Collins and Dominique Lapierre. So this book came out in 1975. The reason I want to talk about this book is that imagine pre-internet, pre-social media days. India had been independent for 25, 26 years. And if you have not lived through those times, it becomes a little difficult to imagine those times. But this book, which was written by Larry Collins and Dominique Lapierre, um, created a sensation. So it was a publishing phenomena. It sold so many copies when it was published, when it came out in 1975. It was the first English book, non-fiction book, to be sold at not just bookstores, but also at railway stations and other places where books were normally not sold. So they predated what Chetan Bhagat did much later. So what made this book such a publishing phenomena? And it is been in print for almost 50 years. So 2024 is the 49th year of this book. Uh, so the format that Dominique Lapierre and Collins adopted was very simple. They pick up one momentous event in history and then they zero in on that event and they craft a narrative which is based on interviews with people involved in that. They do a little bit of research, they do a lot of interviews, and then they put it all together like a thriller. So it's a history book, which reads like a thriller. Now the thing is that it had many fans. It sold in large numbers, but it also had many critics. People claimed that it was uh, a pop history. No, I read the book sometime in 1990 when I was in college, and I'm reading it again. So I can see that some criticism is valid. So one thing that they are accused of is simplifying historical facts. So they may not be incorrect, but they simplify certain historical facts. So that's one. Secondly, they have been very kind towards Mountbatten because they interviewed him at length, they became very friendly, and somewhere I think it influenced their judgment of Mountbatten as a man. In fact, they were slated to write his biography, but Mountbatten died in 1977, which is part of this book. Uh, this book also has got lots of sensational revelations. So I'll give you an example, and it is right there in the beginning, so it's not a spoiler. A lot of talk about Nehru and Edwina Mountbatten and their relationship. Now these guys got Vijay Lakshmi Pandit, Nehru's sister, and she's talking in 1972, which is like just 20 years before, I mean, after the event happened. Now she said that her brother, Nehru, was sexually impotent after the marriage of his wife, Kamla, in the late 30s, early 40s onwards. Nehru was sexually impotent, so he was incapable of having sexual relations with anyone. Now that revelation comes right in the beginning, and there are many such revelations. Now it is a page turner. Yeah, I agree. You can read it. It is like an introduction to partition and the horrors of partition. But I can see that from 1975 to now, a lot has changed. There is a lot more historical archives available, a lot of data available. We also have the benefit of hindsight. We have these last 50 years to look back upon. So this book is readable. You will read it, but you will realize that it is a racy pop history. He tries to analyze a lot of things. Few things they get right. So they see India from the perspective of British and their stay of more than 250 years when East India Company came in and all that. So they present things from that perspective. They actually are very soft on Mahatma Gandhi, which is fine, understandable. And they actually managed to convince Godse's brother, Gopal Godse, to open up a lot. So some of that stuff is was sensational at that time, but in the present day India, it would seem like routine. Like we have been pretty much eulogizing uh, those people. But that time it was controversial because imagine Godse, Gopal Godse talking about his brother that he did something for the nation, and his cause was right, and they devoted like a lot of pages to that. So interesting book. You can read it. Also, it will tell you about the India in 1975. Though they are talking about partition in 1947, but the fact that it was published in 1975, they came to India. They stayed for I think 1.5 years. They stayed in Delhi. In fact, they talk about they stay in Delhi, and that Delhi is very different from today's Delhi. So it's all very fun. I mean, you'll get an idea about like how Delhi was and how we lived in 1974, 75. A white man coming from outside India, staying in Chanakyapuri area, what kind of lifestyle they had, what kind of perks they had, how locals reacted to them. All that is there. So I would say that it's interesting. Definitely you can read it. And I'm surprised that a lot of people, young people, do not even know about this book. So I think you should know about it because it had profound influence on Indian publishing and Indian consciousness. I mean, I have to say that. Growing up, I think in 1980s and 90s, this book was prominently displayed in all the bookshops. There was another book by them, which was Oh Jerusalem. And then Dominique Lapierre wrote a book, which I think is one of the biggest sellers in India, City of Joy, which was made into a film. But read the book; it's a very interesting book. It's a interesting take on the city of Calcutta. And then Dominique Lapierre wrote one book which I enjoyed, and I will review it on this channel, which was on the 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy. So yeah, I mean, I just thought I will do this review, talk about it. Um, I remember being blown away when I was young in 1990. I was just like 19-year-old. I was very impressed with the book, literally very impressed with the book. I thought they were like, they wrote like those writers who write thrillers, extremely fast paced, a page turner. So, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a book on Indian history, which is a page turner, which is a bit dated also, but I mean, I think you can go for it and read it and form your opinion. Don't go by what I'm saying. But it's interesting. I mean, I enjoyed it and I am enjoying doing the review. I mean, I can talk about the book for much longer. I mean, there is a lot to say about the book, and and they made money from the book. I mean, it was unheard of in those times to make money from writing books, but they actually made lots of money and they fell in love with India. And they Dominique Napier contributed a lot to the charity in India, and Calcutta became his favorite city. And both of them have died. I mean, Lapierre died only like a few years back, I think 3 years back, when the pandemic or the coronavirus had just started. Not because of COVID, but otherwise, I mean, it's natural aging. So yeah, it was good. I mean, like I mean, the way they loved India and it comes through, right? And it is slightly different perspective. I think it's good to read the book. I have a Kindle edition. I mean, you can get it on Kindle easily. It's on Kindle Unlimited, or you can buy a physical copy. And it was published by an Indian publisher. If I remember correctly, there were two big publishers at that time. One was Jacko Books, another was Vikas Books. I think they both published it like one after the another. I mean, if memory serves me right. Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, people in the comments can tell me that. But yeah, I mean, I read a lot of books in the late 80s, early 90s. So I have like a lot of memories from that time, and it's good to compare those times with the current times. So yeah, I think it's good fun. And please, I mean, like I promise you, I'll put more reviews. In fact, I'll do another review after this. Today is a holiday. It's Janmashtami in Delhi, and I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing reviews and reading. So thank you for watching this review. It was less a review, more of a discussion, and I enjoyed it. Leave some comments. I mean, I would love to hear from you, and no need to kind of like or subscribe. Nothing. I mean, I'm okay with that. Like the fact that you watched it is reward enough. So thank you very much.